be a heel, a sit, or a down. We always want him to be under command. We never want him to be making his own decision.
Sit.
Good.
Sit. So what's he doing right now?
Wolfie or?
Yeah, what's Wolfie doing right now?
Avoidance.
It's flight.
Flight?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sit.
So do you think it's because of the other? Are you still filming me?
Yeah.
Why? Are you sending this to Ty?
I'm going to give it to you to send it
Okay,
to.
I don't know if we're going to send this one to Ty. Yeah, so was that because of the other dog then at that point? Or just
yeah.
No, I don't think
because he's...
I think he's in a public area and we're putting some stress on him, and so he's kind of like running back to the truck.
Yeah, okay. All right, so you guys did good with making sure he did the sit, and now he's stress panting a little bit, just got a little stress yawn, but this
he
is
actually
good
does
for
get
him.
thirsty a lot, so I don't know if that's potentially the reason, but too much work for him, especially outside. He goes a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
That's
I don't think I've come to week 7 with you at a park either. So I don't know how it's going to be different than...
We can move on to that in a second. What are a dog's 3 options when they're stressed?
Okay, so when dogs are stressed, they're going to be... they're going to want to do fight, flight, or avoidance. So Wolfie was just doing flight. He's trying to go back to the truck. Avoidance kind of looks like if he was avoiding something, he'd kind of just sit there, but he'd kind of be like, oh, like I'm not gonna look at that. Like I'm just gonna pretend it's not there, and if it's not there, it's not gonna kill me. And then fight is obviously gonna come out as aggression, barking, and stuff like that. So if we take away flight and fight, so he's not being aggressive. You took away flight because you made him go back to the sit and a down. All that's left is avoidance, and then eventually avoidance is going to turn into acceptance, and if we do it enough, he's going to be like, oh, okay, I'm not going to die. I'm going to listen to mom or dad, and if they tell me to down, like, everything's going to be fine. So that's how we're going to create a little bit more confidence with him too. So these down stays in public areas are going to be super important because it's going to let him, he's going to be listening to you guys. He's not going to be able to fight. He's not going to be able to, run away. And he's just going to have to sit there and experience everything and realize that if you guys tell him to down, he's going to be just fine. So, right? Good to go?
That's exactly what I was looking for.
Amazing. And that's another reason we want him always under command when we're out in a public place, because he's got to be listening to you. He can't run. He can't be aggressive. He can only just pay attention, focus on you, and block out the rest of the world and realize he's going to be all good to go. So. Yeah,
and I amend that a little bit when we go to a park. When you're going to like a store or an outdoor restaurant, we want them always under command. Yeah, and did you kind of explain why?
I didn't.
Okay, so explain why we always want them under command.
We always want them under. I think I did. Right? Did I say because we don't want them to have to make any of their own decisions?
Yeah.
And because we don't want them to have to make a bad decision, we don't want them to have to pick fight, flight, or avoidance. We don't want them to, pick if they're in a heel, they can't sniff, they can't go to the bathroom, they have to be right there.
And so I would just simplify it a little bit. If a big distraction comes by and he's kind of just standing there, he has to decide what to do about that distraction. Dogs are bad decision makers. If he's putting it down, there's no decision for him to make. Mom and dad set it down. And it's also kind of a little bit more of a forced, relaxed position. And so that's why we want them in those positions. And then I kind of amend it when we come to parks, because a park is a lot of just play and letting them run free and stuff like that. And so immediately when distractions come by, let's put him in and let's get him in a command so that we have control of him. But then when you're at a park, it's not as applicable at parks, if that makes sense.
Okay, so that would be like if a jogger came by or something, we want him to go into a sit or a down to kind of experience that.
Yeah, do a recall and put him in a sit, or do a recall and put him in a heel, whatever.
Okay, cool. And then, do you go over to the third takeaway now, or?
Sure.
Yeah, just because we're not at the store.
I'm already filming you, so.
You're already filming me? Okay. So the third takeaway is that we want to do just a lot of random obedience in the store, or not in the store, we're at a park. But just like now you have him in a down, like you just put him in a down while you're on a table or something. Just sit, just to make sure he's always paying attention. Is that basically it?
Yeah, it's just a good way to kind of remind them that the rules are here, and just a good way to get some practice in
And that
different
comes
environments.
with, always